I am Samuel Edison Hunt, and this is my CVC story. My years here at CVCC began in, I think, 1967, and I graduated in 1969. My major was in data processing. The classes included, of course, computer programming and basic school subject, English, math, and all that. And I involved myself with help establishing chess program and played chess quite a bit. My first experience was some weeks after getting here. I noticed when I was walking through the cafeteria area that people was out playing chess in the platform out there. So I went out to see, what the game was like. And one of the teachers, Mr. Fox, a handicapped person, was playing another teacher. And there was a lot of students around watching them, and I started watching them. And Mr. Fox spoke to me, and I had the opportunity to introduce myself. And he asked, could I play? And I said, I've been learning. So he said, would you like to play? And I responded that all the people here are probably ahead of me. And he asked, was anybody going to be next? And nobody responded. And so he said, well, would you like to play? And I said, well, if y'all don't mind. So I sat down, and me and this other teacher started playing. And so happened I accidentally beat him. And he never spoke to me again the rest of the years I was here at the school. Other activities, I noticed that at lunchtime, the cafeteria, all the tables and chairs was filled with the white students. And the black students gathered on the west side of the cafeteria, and there were sofas lined up and created an enclosure. And most of the blacks stood inside that enclosure, engaged in conversation with each other. But I looked over at them and I did not recognize anybody. And all the tables and chairs were filled up with the white students. And so I left, come back the next day, same thing. And I decided that next week I was gonna run to the cafeteria and get a chair. So next week come, when class was out, I took off. And I got a chair at the table. Students would come up and ask, could they have a chair? And I told them yes. Then while sitting there, I said, well, if they don't want to sit with me, I ain't gonna let nobody have my chairs. So the next week when they come up to ask for the chairs, I said, you can sit here, but you cannot take these chairs from this table. And it got word that people stood and watched me as I sit there by myself with the chairs. It got word that one lunchtime, I couldn't get there in time. But do you know, nobody sat at the table and nobody took a chair from that table. So another time, 4 guys came up. Now, I always kept some pimples on the table for protection. So if anybody come up and mess with me, I was gonna pencil them. So they came over to the table and they introduced themselves. And I told them immediately that they could sit down, but they could not take the chairs from the table. And so I think it was Blackie was the name, said, well, we didn't come to take your chairs, we come to sit with you. And I said, okay, then sit down. Now, what is this all about? He said, well, we've noticed that you are different than the other blacks here. And we noticed that you're aggressive and all that. And we're going to form the student government body, and we want you to become a senator. I said, now how could I become a senator when nobody knows me that could vote for me? He said, well, we're from Fred T. Ford, and we ran Fred T. Ford, and a lot of the people here are from Fred T. Ford, and we run him. And so I became a senator. So they also asked that if I become a senator, they would see that I become president of the student government body. I said, here we go again, you're talking, They said, no. So after the election was over, and I'm senator, and we were having our first executive meeting, they pointed out to me that they had promised that I would be president of the student government body, but they had already promised Paulette. I can't think of her last name. So she became president, and I became vice president. Okay, we had, after becoming candidate, vice president, came up with some ideas to have programs for the whole student government body. And so that's how the chess game program got started. And then I think a teacher or somebody suggested that we have a blood drive. And so me and a couple other guys put the blood drive together, and it ended up being the most outstanding drive the school had up to that time. And we received a trophy. And as I've been here, I've been looking around to see if there was a trophy cabinet, because I wrote my name on the bottom of the trophy. So if I ever come back in years to come, I can find my trophy, or find the trophy, okay? Another situation, I would always speak to the nursing instructors, which their class was beside the data processing class. Mr. Hamlet, and one day, President Powell called my name over the PA, and he had not called anybody's name over the PA, since I've been here. And I said, oh Lord, I hope they don't call me in now. I'm getting ready to get thrown out of here. So I go down, and the nursing instructor and Ms. Pat was in his office, and they asked me to sit down, and what they were presenting to me was the opportunity to become the first male nurse. And I couldn't believe it. And the nurse instructor pointed out why I was selected. Because when I would pass their class, I would always speak to the instructors, and over a period of time, I got to be friends with some of the nurses, and I would speak to them. And I didn't make any passes at anybody either. Anyway, okay. So I thought about it, and when we met a second time, I told him that I didn't think I could do it because I couldn't spell those medical words and things. And later on, I learned they couldn't either. And I messed up. I could have been a hero to today. Okay. So as time went on, it's getting close to graduation, and I'm in trouble with my last project. So I got some of the other classmates to help me get it finished, and got it finished. And at graduation, they are pointing out the students who have got the achievements for academic success. And I was recognized as being the first Black vice president of the student government body. And I was also recognized with the Outstanding Student Award. And that was a real experience. There were hardly, I counted, there was about 20 black males, and some of those were second shift, second class. And there was about 13 black females. And that made up the black population at that time. After becoming vice president of the student government body, relations with white students improved. And it got where, God, I couldn't stand the morning, because when I went from class to class, God, everybody I passed was speaking to me. And, later on I realized, it was not an honor for me, it was an honor for all the other, black students too. Another time, Dr. Papp called me to his office, and he asked would I like to have a job. And I said yes, but he knew I was having problems. I did not have a car for transportation. I come to school here under the GI Bill. I was only earning $75, and I did not have transportation, and under the GI program, I had to fulfill, I think it was maybe 10 credit hours, or some outrageous number of credit hours, which caused me to have to be here on campus by 8 o'clock, and I didn't leave until 5 o'clock. And because of the credit hour requirement, I had classes through my lunch. It was it was a nightmare. But anyway, I had a good time, and I cherish those memories.